One way to define a concept is to find its purpose. Contrary to popular beliefs, the purpose of an argument is not to persuade, but to find the truth on the topic of argument. This can be shown in two ways. The first way is by examining its original definition. We said that an argument is a position on a topic defended by a reason. A reason, built by our power of reason, serves to find truth. Therefore, an argument serves to find the true position on the topic. Simple enough? The second way is by appealing to a principle of function which says, for things which serve a function, we call it good, that which serves its function correctly, and bad otherwise. For example, take a paper cutter, a device whose function is to cut paper. We call it a good paper cutter if it cuts paper correctly, and a bad one otherwise. So, if the function of an argument was to persuade, then, by the above principle, an argument which fails to persuade would necessarily be called a bad argument. But this is not the case. Consider this scenario with a perfect, flawless argument. If A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. We see that even a flawless argument can fail to persuade, therefore, the function of an argument is not to persuade. This knowledge is useful to set realistic expectations. Persuasion may result from a valid argument, though this is only expected for those who sincerely seek truth. After all, even the God in the Bible does not always succeed in persuading, and thus we should not be expected to either. Persuasion is not part of the science called arguments, but part of the art called rhetoric. If the argument is a plain cake, then rhetoric is the icing on top. It makes the cake more appealing and less dry, yet has no nutrition on its own. We may talk about that in a later video, but for now, let's point out that rhetoric is a useful tool, but only as long as it serves to complement substantial things like arguments, and not on its own. We have learned how to argue. Let's now consider when to argue. Well, if an argument serves to find truth, then the topic should be a matter of fact, not of opinion. In other words, it should be objective, not subjective, for there is no truth for subjective topics. In theory, this is the only criteria that is needed, but we'll add one practical criteria. Remember that truth is really for the sake of the good. Thus, the topic should be consequential. It should make a positive impact in our lives. For if not, then why bother arguing about it? Now we can rearrange the two pairs of criteria to show the following four cases. If the topic is subjective and inconsequential, then don't argue. Be inclusive. If the topic is objective yet inconsequential, then while you may argue, it would not be worthwhile, so you can simply apply tolerance. A topic may be subjective, yet the outcome can still be consequential, such as having to pick one decision for a group. In that case, it is wise to pick the outcome that is the most pleasing. This can be obtained by a vote, a back and forth, or a compromise. Finally, topics that are both objective and consequential should be argued. As an exercise for you, the viewer, where would you place the topic of religion? A debate is a discussion involving arguments and is like a game of attacking and defending towers. where stating your initial argument is like erecting your tower, raising an objection to refute an argument is like attacking the opponent's tower, and countering an objection is like blocking the attack. If all objections are countered, then the tower stands. On the other hand, if all arguments are refuted, then the tower collapses. With that, you could technically argue with yourself, and this would be a good way to practice, but ultimately, the real debate is with someone else. For you see, it is the nature of an error that the one committing the error is not aware of it. Otherwise, the honest person would not be making it. Now, who starts the argument? It's whoever has the burden of proof. Okay, who has the burden of proof? The Prima Facie is the position that is officially accepted until there is a sufficient reason to believe otherwise. Following the principle of sufficient reason, it is assigned to the simplest position that accounts for all the data, or the most probable one, or if this is not easily determined, then it is assigned to the status quo, because any change requires a sufficient reason. Then, the burden of proof is on the other side. For example, let's inquire about the highly consequential topic of whether there is a teapot in space. Blue says no, red says yes, but neither has any evidence to support their claim. The simplest position is with blue, therefore blue has the prima facie, and the burden of proof is on red. Now, suppose that red finds evidence of an object in space that looks an awful lot like a teapot. This does not prove that the object observed is in fact a teapot, but this is sufficient evidence to move the prima facie to the other side. Most of the time, truth is not fully attained with certainty. You only obtain the prima facie. While the analogy of attacking towers is a useful one, it would be a mistake to see a debate as a fight, and should instead be seen as a collaboration to find truth. Yet, with that said, it does run the risk to turn into a fight, and so here are some useful tips to avoid this. Attack the argument, not the person. Attacking the opponent is not only disrespectful, it also commits the ad hominem fallacy, as we have seen previously. Stick to one argument at a time. Otherwise, this has the effect of talking past each other, which is unproductive. Finish an argument, including all its objections, before moving on to the next one. If the situation allows it, take your time. As per our leap of faith, we believe that reason will find truth, but proper reasoning takes time. It is okay to say, "Let me think about it, and I'll get back to you." This next one's a hard one. Accept losing the argument. Losing happens, and there is no progress without it. But here's a trick to ease into it. Expect to lose every argument before entering any debate. That way, no matter the outcome, you will not be disappointed. And it's okay to lose because remember the goal: not to win, not to persuade, but to find truth. In that light, the opponents are not really in conflict, but work towards a common goal. Not a compromise, but truth, wherever it may be. This was a lengthy topic, so let's summarize what we covered in the last two videos. Not necessarily in the order presented, but in the order that would apply in a real situation. 1. Check if the topic is objective and consequential. Otherwise, arguing may be impossible or not worthwhile. 2. Check where the prima facie lies. The burden of proof is on the other side. 3. Check if the argument is a proper one, a position defended by a reason. If one of those two components is missing, then there is nothing to object against. 4. If desired, turn the argument into a syllogism. This is optional, but can help to make things clear. 5. Check for the three types of fallacy: an ambiguous term, a false premise, and a logical fallacy. 6. Restart at step 2 until there are no more arguments. 7. Congratulations, you have completed the debate. It may not result in persuasion, people may not accept to be persuaded, and it may not even end with the right position. More objections may arise later. Nevertheless, as you find which arguments hold and which are refuted, each debate ultimately gets you closer towards knowing the truth. In the next video, we will discuss the relation between faith and reason. See you then. Thanks for watching.